Hello, everyone. This fishing report took place on 9 October 2025. That's a Thursday, and where I decided to go fishing was the Texas City Dike, located over here in Texas City. Now, this structure is a little over 5 miles long, going out into the middle of Galveston Bay, and it's right at the end of the Galveston Channel as the ship traffic comes in. Very deep waters in here, and then during October timeframe, that's whenever the bull red run starts, which is also known as their spawn. So they will come in and be looking for a bite to eat after they do their spawn. And you can take really good advantage of coming out here at the end of the dike and have a good opportunity at being able to catch one of these massive fish that swim in our waters. So the bigger ones are, more often than not, they're the ones that are living out in the Gulf, and they only return back during this time frame to spawn. Some of them can be caught, like your smaller, like just over slot size, can be caught inside the marsh or inside the bay system. They will hang around, but then usually once they get to that 30-inch size, that's whenever they start heading out. So that's just a little bit about the redfish. And so this is where I set up camp, right here. I dropped the pin as soon as I came out, and you're really close to the very end. A lot of people will gather up over here, and there's a lot of rods in the water. So if someone catches a fish, chances of getting that redfish or black drum swimming back and forth will tangle up in some lines. However, it is a really great spot to fish from, and that's why a lot of people come out here and do it, because you're almost right there by the drop. But yeah, I like to forego all of that and just come over here, have a little space, a little peace of mind whenever you're out here trying to fish. So let's see, what do I know about the Texas City Dike that I did not cover, or I may have covered, but we'll touch on it again in this video. The rocks can be dangerous, so just make sure you have sure footing. Cleats come in handy. On this particular day, I didn't wear any cleats. The water was pretty calm. The only thing you got to worry about is some of the ship traffic coming through the channel and pushing a wake on top of the rocks. So that can happen, and it has been known to happen a lot out here at Texas City. So just keep your eyes on any ship traffic, any barges pushing through at a high rate of speed. The faster they go, the bigger the wake is going to be. So just be mindful of that. If you're setting your rods up right here at the water's edge, like right on top of the rocks, it's not uncommon for the swell to come through and like flood the entire area. So keep your head on a swivel whenever you're out here. There are, let's see, sometimes you can find a lot of trash out there, like discarded fishing line, hooks. So just be mindful of that if you have little ones with you. The main appeal for fishing the dike is that there are porta potties out here. It's a very easy setup. You just drive your vehicle, pull off on the side of the road, and whammo, you're right there at the fishing spot. There's no need to unload everything out of your vehicle. All the creature comforts that you need are just right there. So that's one of the biggest appeals of coming out here to fish. It is $10, I want to say. I will have to make a note of it whenever driving on. There is like a small little booth out. Actually, it's probably over here somewhere. There's a toll booth. Until summertime, I think it's only opened on the weekends, and that's whenever they will collect a fee per vehicle coming in. And I want to say the last that I saw, it was $10, and there's no cash anymore. It's all credit card, debit card. So just be mindful of that. You'll need to pay that fee. Now, if you're a resident of Texas City, then get your sticker and put it on your windshield, and then they'll wave you through whenever they see your sticker that you're a resident. The other thing is all the bait shops that are over here. Actually, there's only two that I know of, which you got Lee's Bait Shop, and then you have Boyd's right here. I used to go to Lee's a lot, but then when I found out that Boyd's does a military discount, being that I'm a veteran, I do come to Boyd's now and buy their bait. So both of them are very comparable in price. Boyd's, it seems like they've got a lot more bait tanks, but yeah, anyhow, you have two options here. And then Boyd's also has like this little restaurant, this Cajun grill, to be able to get a bite to eat before you go out there, or if you're out there and you have a buddy with you or family members and they can stay with all the gear and you're hungry, one of y'all can run back to Boyd's and buy something to eat and then just drive right back out. So that is the major appeal to coming to the dike. Now, let's talk about getting stuck or snagged in the rocks. Like whenever a lot of people come out here, and I see them every time I come, someone who doesn't fish much will come out towards the edge of the rocks. And here, let's go down to street view. Let's see if we can. So you're down here at the edge of the rocks, and then you just make your cast not too far out, and you're gonna get snagged if you're fishing with like fresh dead bait or anything like that. You will get snagged. There's no doubt about it. And if you don't get snagged, well, the next cast you're probably gonna get snagged. There is a ton of debris out here, to include snagged fishing line and all kinds of other stuff. There's a lot of smaller rocks that extend beyond the surface of the water underneath, and they go out. So whenever I come out here, what I like to do is swing for the fences, or if I'm using artificials, then I will cast, and I do not let my lures go down to the bottom and drag the bottom or anything like that, and because I just already know that I'm going to get snagged. So artificials, I cast out, I'll let it go down really quick, and I'll do a countdown method to see how long it takes let's say hypothetically, a jerk minnow to reach the bottom. And you know you hit the bottom because there will be some slack in your line. It'll be taut, somewhat like taut, and then whenever it goes slack, then you know you hit the bottom. If that hypothetically took place in like maybe a 3 1,000 count, well then I would go 1 1,000, 2 1,000, and that's it. I'm starting my retrieve back so that I don't hit the bottom continuously. And then you just work your lure like normal to fish artificials. Fishing alongside the rocks, if I'm right here and there's nobody between me and this point, I will cast out as close to the rocks as I can and then just retrieve it back, making sure to extend my rod tip as far out over the water as I can while working that lure back. This is structure, and if the speckled trout are going to be out here, or maybe even mangrove snapper, then there's a good possibility of catching something, because the finger mullet are all going to be swimming right alongside these rocks. And well, wherever there's structure, there's bait, and wherever there's bait, there's going to be the predatory fish out there trying to take advantage of a bite to eat. So that's another thing that I will do. This time of year, I'm mainly going to be going after redfish and black drum, the bigger variety. So going back to me casting way out there, I'm using a surf rod that's 11.5 foot long, tons of leverage to be able to whip out approximately like 6 to 8 ounces in weight. So my spider weight alone is 6 ounces, and then depending on the size of the bait that I'm using, whether it's going to be a half of a crab or a whole mullet, that could go 8 ounces, maybe even more. And so you need a rod that's going to be capable of slinging super heavy weight out there as far as you can. And the reason why I'm casting as far as I can is because I don't want to be anywhere near all the debris over here. I want to be on a somewhat soft bottom, and just get it away from these rocks and the snags. So the mindset that some beginners will tend to have is like, nope, you got to get it all the way away from the rocks. The further out there you go, the better it's going to be. That couldn't be further from the truth. The structure, again, these big fish that are going to be coming in, the bull reds and the huge black drum, they're coming towards the structure because that's where all the bait is. And so wherever structure is, that's what you want to fish. That's what I've always been taught. That's what I've always known. And in this case, it seems counterintuitive because you're trying to get as far away as you can from that structure, and getting your line way over here. But I mean, it works. And if you're patient, your fresh bait that you just put out there will call in one of them fish. Now, the other mindset that you could possibly have is that whenever you're whenever you cast far out, the channel for the Texas City Dike is way out there. So it's way over here. That's the highway that these big fish are going to be taking, and they have to come up out of that channel and then start going in this direction. So just common sense thinking on my part, take it with a grain of salt, because I mean, it might hold true, who knows. But if your line goes out there further than the guy next to you, when these fish are coming out of the channel to start making their way towards the dike itself and then swimming along it looking for that food, when they come out of the channel, they're going to possibly, common sense thinking again, hit your bait first, because it's the first one that they happen to come across. So I don't know. There's no way for me to test that unless I had a drone and I cast normal with just the rod itself, and then send out a piece of bait further than what I could cast, and then drop it, and then consistently record which one gets hit first and whatever. But yeah, that's just, again, common sense thinking. The other thing about this style of fishing is making sure to safety. And so that's why I'm using some big leaders. They're 4 foot in length, and they're two 2-foot segments. They're connected by a barrel swivel. We have a 7/0 sized circle hook. You will have a tendency to see other YouTube creators using really massive hooks. It's not needed, but the bigger the hook is, the bigger the piece of bait that you can present to the fish. So hopefully that makes sense. You could try to use a 2/0 sized circle hook, and it would definitely work for what we're going after. However, trying to put a big piece of bait on that small circle hook, it's going to be very difficult. Especially when it comes to dealing with a crab. The minute that you cast this hook out there, a smaller sized circle hook out there, that bait, it's probably going to pull straight from the bait. So you need a bigger sized hook. Now, if you do the bridle method, which y'all did see me do that in my video, where I take wax thread and a bait needle, and I go through the mullet's eye sockets, that means your hook is not going to be embedded into the bait source whatsoever. It's fully exposed, so when the fish comes and bites it, the minute that you pull up for tension, your hook is fully exposed. You have a higher probability of hooking into your fish, and you can do that method. I have not done any videos on showing how to bridle a bait fish or bait, period. So maybe I might do something like that in the future and put it on my second channel that has, it deals with fishing, but it doesn't involve the act of fishing, but it's how-tos and DIYs and stuff like that. I might do something like that for that, just to show how it is that I bridle. But a quick YouTube search on YouTube will show how to bridle live bait. And all you do is just go to Amazon. I do have links on the needle, the bait needle, or whatever it's called, and then the wax thread. But it's a very simple technique which yields really high results as far as your catch rate. So let's see, going back to the leader, I'm using 300-pound monofilament, but that's because I want to protect my hands from getting cut whenever you hoist these fish. Especially if you go by yourself, trying to land one of these bull reds, holding a rod, a surf rod at that, and use a net to net them. Yeah, it's pretty difficult. It takes a long time, so it's best just to put your rod back inside the holder or hand it off to someone else that may be nearby. And as you go down towards the water's edge on the rocks itself, you can be able to just hoist that fish up by the leader, and no fear of it actually snapping or anything like that, and no fear of it cutting your hands. The faster you can get that fish back in the water, if you don't plan on keeping it, the faster you can get it back in the water, the better, because it will be able to swim off pretty hard, and no chances of it coming back up like a beach ball on the surface of the water and floating down to possibly die an agonizing death. But if you're going to keep it and they're over 28 inches, don't forget that you're going to need your redfish stamp, the bull redfish one. Everybody gets one with their license. And just make sure you fill that out immediately and tag your fish, because if the game warden shows up and you don't have it filled out and affixed to the fish, bad things could possibly happen to you. Most of the time they'll let you off with a warning, but sometimes they will have no mercy, depending on how their day is going. So just be mindful of that. Again, I was using a 6-ounce spider weight. That's just because that's what it takes to get my line out there pretty far. I could use a 4-ounce. A lot of people do different things, and just because I do one thing doesn't mean that you need to do it. I may be using heavier line, like main line, which my braid is 64 pound test. So it's very thick stuff, and in order to get that off the spool and as far out as I can, it requires me to use that 6-ounce weight. A 4-ouncer I won't even be able to cast far. The mindset of your bait is also going to add weight. But it's not perfectly suited for flight through the air. So the wind catches it, and it kind of introduces a lot of friction as it's trying to travel through the air, and then it's just going to fall short. So 6 ounces is the perfect size for my needs on the line that I'm using, and the size of the rod also. Like if you're using a shorter rod, then there's not much leverage there. You can still get a good cast out there, but a longer rod gives you more leverage to sling your line and bait out there. So there's a ton of variables that go into fishing, and I'm just trying to present to y'all what it is that I'm using. And I also try to go over the gear that I use. It just helps with questions from beginners that might possibly come out here, and they're just trying to get an idea of what they need to do to come out and be successful as well. So all of those things come into play. The last thing that I will leave y'all with is so there's two things, honestly. The bait sources that I seen out here was mullet. They were swimming all up and down the rocks on the dike. So there was a ton of mullet out there, and these fish have a lot of bait to be able to go after. So with that being said, this goes into the second thing. You want to make sure that you're using something that's fresh. I would not suggest buying any kind of mullet from the bait shops, because Lord knows how long that stuff has been in their shops sitting on ice. A lot of the times whenever you cut it, it's very mushy. The meat disintegrates if you touch it with your hands or a knife. And when you try to embed the hook in it, it just pulls right out because, again, it's mush. So bring a cast net. Learn how to throw it. It's fairly simple. The smaller the cast net, the better, because it's easier to aim and throw it pretty far out away from the rocks to be able to land right on top of a school of mullet that's swimming by. Fresh bait is going to be better than fresh dead from a bait shop. I don't know how else to put it, aside of the fact that whenever we go to a restaurant, do you want to eat something that has been sitting in that restaurant for 10 days? Or do you want something that's fresh? So it's the same with fish. Will they bite it? Yeah, sometimes. If that's all that's there, chances are you could get lucky. But yeah, the fresh stuff, it always works. And the most successful people that are going to be out here are always using live bait or fresh bait that they caught themselves. So just, that's another thing to take a look at. But yeah, aside of that, it was a great day of fishing. We saw plenty of bites that took place. I had two of them in the 7 hours that I was out there. My second bite or second run, I was fumbling around with my camera, and then by the time I got to the rod, the redfish had already, I'm going to assume it was a red, he had already dropped the hook, and so I wasn't able to go up for tension so that it would embed in the corner of its mouth. But I mean, hey, that's the way it goes sometimes whenever you're trying to film these things and making sure that your camera is on. But yeah, I'll get better at it, and hopefully as time continues to go by, the reds are going to show up in full force. I do know that they were out on the beachfront during this time frame, and I just happened to be fishing the channel. But eventually, a lot of them will stop coming to the beachfront, and they're going to go into the channels with that moving water and start doing their spawn. And when they do that, well, all these areas, where the channels are or passes are going to become really alive with a lot of biting fish. So hopefully this video will help some of y'all on your future trip out there. And until next time, tight lines, everyone.